Hi, and welcome back to SDI Coffee Break. Again, we're with Frank Casale from ChoiceWORX. Hi, Frank.
Greetings. Good to see you again, David.
Yeah, good to see you too, actually. And you know, we finished a really great, really good vlog last time. We could have gone forever, but I thought we'd sort of stop that one, carry on in this one. So we're going to carry on from that, Frank. And we were talking about the move from sort of onshore to offshore to something else. And if you look at, I think if you look at IT service management, you know, left shift. I love shifting left. I love the movement of stuff, the flow of stuff, of more expensive, more complex work into low-cost centers, to simplify and take the service closer to the customer. It's surely what we're all here to do. You know, for me, a service isn't to protect my knowledge or to make sure that the process is so difficult that only I can follow it, and that gives me power and I can expand my own empire and organization. It's about making it simpler and making the end user, almost making the service invisible. And I really feel that we're on the cusp of that happening, you know. So if you look at intelligent automation, if you look at that digital labor thing, which is a relatively new phrase, it's probably come out maybe how long? The last 12 months or so, Frank, do you think digital labor is a thing?
I first used it maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I may have coined the term, but I'm not sure, so I cannot take credit. But in my mind, why it clicked for me, and it clicks with most people I discuss with, it is that it kind of creates a different picture in your mind, right? If I say digital transformation, it's this kind of vague, amorphous thing, right? If I say robotic process automation, you kind of sort of get it, but you know, you have to take me down a path. If I say digital labor, it's like, oh, wow, okay, where are we going? I sort of get this. And that's where, as I see it, that's where the big opportunity is. As an entrepreneur, I see it as a very exciting space, and that's what ChoiceWORX is all about, is really delivering digital labor. And then from the standpoint of digital transformation, you know, I predict, and we're seeing it now, just even with some of the things we're doing within our customer bases, I believe the proper leveraging of intelligent platforms, very much fit for purpose, i.e. digital labor, will have the most impact with regard to these companies that are really moving forward with digital transformational strategies. The impact will be significant, it'll be measurable, and it will impact both top line and bottom line.
Yeah, and we see, I'm reading a lot about hyper-automation recently and the speed, and I think it's becoming a race, Frank, isn't it? You're almost taking away the focus on governance, control mechanisms, and sort of this sort of waterfall thing into something which is now about being the first to get this stuff to work properly, so it gives you a competitive advantage in your business to drive
yes
forward.
Well yeah, but I'll tell you how I come at it slightly differently. Although I've been in the automation space for many years now, and had the good fortune of launching ERPA AI and continue to be in the center of that world, less of my discussions are around hyper automation and the like. It's more around from the standpoint of, if you're running a business that provides a help desk service, if you're at a global 2000 enterprise and you're running the service desk, and or if you're an end user with a PC or a laptop related issue, as I had this morning, at the end of the day, the commonality of those are three different roles. They're all looking for better, faster, cheaper. So if somebody shows up in my office with some shiny new thing, I'm just wondering, how does it help me to check off one or more of those boxes? So if I'm waiting as an end user, I want to wait less. So if you have something that creates a scenario where I wait less, I'm interested. If I'm paying for it, if it costs less, I'm interested, right? If you're managing that service desk, and which is possibly the toughest job in the corporation today. It's like a thankless job, and this is probably the coolest thing that you may ever come across in your career. Why? It allows you to increase customer sat. It allows you to do more with the limited resources that you have, which you do, and the limited budget that you have, which you have a limited budget. So to me, I come at it from the standpoint of the business drivers, as to, okay, how does this shiny new thing help? So if you introduce digital labor into the scenario, then you have an ideal scenario for better, faster, cheaper. So what does that mean? If you're an end user with a problem, you get to move beyond the scenario of making a phone call, dealing with a person. That person can ask you questions about who you are, what do you have, all that jazz. Envision a scenario where you have this opportunity for a proactive remediation, right? Take it to a totally different world where I'm here speaking with you. There's an issue on my laptop. It's being handled. I didn't call anybody. I don't even know what's happening other than I can see a line item in a report. That is like a wow scenario that every end user would want. Think of the person running the help desk that says, wow, that was handled before it even got to the desk. So this concept of less humans in the loop, of that kind of high frequency, those high frequency scenarios where you really don't need to have your best and brightest engineers on the phone speaking with low-tech users like Frank Casale, just torturing them every day with very basic questions of something that can be handled by our platform.
Yeah, it's interesting because this subject is so broad, Frank, and you know we've only got a limited time to really sort of discuss in these sort of these sort of vlogs in this section. And you raise again some amazing points there, and I really want to sort of talk about, maybe briefly, about endpoint management, what that really means if you're looking at remediating technology that sort of fixes stuff before you know, or before you really know that it's broken. I think if you look at the service desk, if you look at IT, it's always been sort of reactive thing. I've got something not working, could you fix it for me? What are you seeing in endpoint management in relation to when you look at ChoiceWORX? When you look at some of the stuff you're doing as a service, what does that mean? What does endpoint management really mean for a change in the way that IT service support is going to look like over the next few years?
Oh, super. So the big change is the human in the loop, if you will. So if you've ever picked up the phone and called any sort of a customer service or service desk and were waiting on hold, the concept of being put on hold is a manifestation of the labor-centric solution. That means there are more calls coming in than there are people that can take the calls, right? Yeah. You don't wait that long if you type a question into Google, unless you have bad Wi-Fi connection, right? So a end-to-end digital solution is always faster, right? So number one, human out of the loop really delivers the speed, if you will. So from an end user standpoint, much greater. From the person running the service desk, you have limited resources. And the conversations I'm having day in and day out with these managers that are running the service desk is how to really tackle this. And their limitation is typically labor, it's resources. They don't have enough resources to keep up. Their only solution is to hire more people. And that is not always an option, right? And even where it is an option, if you're a service provider, that just eats into your business model, which is why very few service providers in this space are really making any money. Yeah. So the cost to you as the customer is quality of service, right? So the solution that all members, all participants in the service desk dynamic are looking for is one that is lower cost, higher speed, and labor less, if you will, at least certainly for those basic, those L1 type issues. And that's what we're bringing to the table. I would equate it to, it's maybe a weak analogy, but if you think about the music industry, there was a point where we all had CDs, and then suddenly it's MP3, right? So if you think of that shift from CD to MP3, if you think of that shift from physical to digital and what that meant, it wasn't just a simpler mechanism, it reinvented it. It meant that you didn't have to buy the entire album. You could pick the song that you want. It meant that there was no longer a physical limitation. You could go from bragging about that your car could hold 5 CDs to basically saying that your phone has 5,000 songs, right? So to be able to share music, to be able to distribute it, it reinvented the business model, the pricing model, and the ultimate joy and satisfaction of many music lovers, such as myself, right? So that's the transformation that we're on the front end of with the service desk, if you will, and endpoint management. This shift from physical centric approach to a digital centric approach where it's not disruptive. We're not disrupting. We are being welcomed by all members of that business, if you will, because the benefits are across the board.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the user of that, when you look at me being a music listener, user, I'm still listening to music. It's just behind the scenes, it's a different way of doing it. And I like that analogy, Frank. I've not heard that one. It's really cool. We could talk on this forever, Frank. I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to close this one. And I think I know you've got a hard stop, which is a shame, right? Because I would love to carry on with another few of these, and I think we will. I think we'll put something else in the diary, and we'll try and get together again to do another set of these. And longer term, what I'd like, and this is for the listeners as well, what I'd like is to build a sort of round table of brains when it comes onto this kind of stuff with you guys to talk about this stuff. So we're going to do this again, Frank. It's been fantastic just to listen and talk. We could have done this all day, and thank you, Frank.
My pleasure. Cheers. See you next time.
Yeah, next time. All the best.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.